Last year, Cartoon Network aired 2 new shows, Clarence and a miniseries called Over the Garden Wall. Both shows are very different from each other in many ways, from their subject matter to their drastically different art style. However, both Clarence and Over the Garden Wall take place in an unknown, pseudo-modern time. But there's an even bigger connection between these 2 shows, and it comes from these 2 different shots. This one from Clarence, and this one from Over the Garden Wall. Whoa, those are way too similar. Could Clarence and Over the Garden Wall take place in the same town? As I mentioned earlier, both shows are a little coy about what time period they occur. But based on the fashion and technology, we can guess that they both take place in a pseudo 80s, 90s mixed with early 2000s type era. Cause seriously, has anyone made a mixtape past the year 1998? Get with the times, Wirt. Clarence lives in the fictional town of Aberdale, which is actually a parody of the very real city of Prescott, Arizona. And it's not really specified where Over the Garden Wall actually takes place. So let's go back to our biggest piece of evidence. Look closely. These shots are practically identical, except for that tall building towards the back in Over the Garden Wall, which many believe is a hospital. So maybe it's that Over the Garden Wall took place a few years after Clarence. Except that some Clarence fans noticed something in the episode Lil Buddy. A silhouette of Greg and Wirt walking around in the woods. This seems like some pretty hardcore evidence. And with so many coincidences, I'm really starting to wonder, do Clarence and Over the Garden Wall take place in the same town? It's basically impossible to deny the sheer similarities between both shots of this city. I mean, just look at that bowling alley with that sign out front. Sure, okay, it's possible that maybe this particular bowling alley is like a franchise, and every single one of their buildings will have the same neon sign in front, but do they all have identical businesses across the street? That on top of Greg and Wirt's silhouettes in the back of the woods in that episode of Clarence. While this crossover would be awesome, we have to ask, was it intentional or was it just an Easter egg? Both shows are grounded in the relatively same amount of reality. Basically meaning the characters deal with real life situations, but there's the occasional talking animal. The time periods they both take place in are pretty similar. So where can we look for proof of this? Well, art director of Over the Garden Wall, Nick Cross, recently addressed this very issue in the DVD commentary of Over the Garden Wall. But his explanation shattered our imaginations just a little bit. Cross said that while they were making Over the Garden Wall, they shared an office space with the Clarence crew. And many of the artists that worked on Clarence also lended their talents to Over the Garden Wall. Cross essentially said they needed a wide city shot for Over the Garden Wall, and he noticed an artist working on this one from Clarence. So they took that layout from Clarence and essentially just redrew it for Over the Garden Wall. Cross also probably assumed that viewers wouldn't notice this very small coincidence. I guess that means he's never been on Tumblr or Reddit either. But really, reusing art is actually a very common thing in animation. And Disney films are actually a very famous culprit of this, which is why it seems that Baloo from the Jungle Book is also Little John and Robin Hood. Even The Simpsons use recycled animation from time to time. Animation is a long, complicated, and expensive process. Occasionally, studios will cut tiny corners to make the best product they can. So is this conspiracy true or not? Could Clarence and Wirt hang out? Or could Greg and Wirt move in after the hospital was built? Or is it seriously just the same layout? Well, Cross's commentary doesn't confirm Greg and Wirt's cameo in Clarence, but there's also no other evidence we found out about this. So it's up to you, really. I love the idea of this theory, but personally, I'm a skeptic. And I think it's just a funny, simple Easter egg. So on the plausibility meter, I'm giving the Clarence Over the Garden Wall conspiracy 1 Jason Funderburger out of 5. In the comments, let me know if you agree or disagree with how I rated it. And let me know if you found any other evidence that could possibly make this theory true. Subscribe to channel Frederator, and I'll see you guys next week. Now, some of you may not remember Invader Zim. Created by Yonan Vasquez, this hilariously awesome and incredibly strange show only aired on Nickelodeon for 2 seasons, following the adventures of an alien named Zim who is banished to Earth and is reluctantly joined by a defective robot named Gur. Zim spends the majority of his time on Earth attempting to take over the world, only to be foiled by the well-meaning but very stupid Gur. But what if Gur's stupidity was just a disguise? What if this whole time Gur was actually just playing dumb in order to ruin all of Zim's plans? What if Gur is secretly Zim's greatest enemy?